to order.
Okay.
So Sue's not here.
She's there.
I don't know where she went.
She went to, I don't know, print something, I don't know. She just went
Oh.
out there.
And
Well,
Sheila's,
all
the stuff's
Sheila's
right
in the
here.
other room.
Oh, Sheila's in the other one, yeah.
Oh, she was.
So I have to tell you that I resigned from the chairperson here. From the
Who let you do
Memorial
that?
Day Committee, huh?
Who let you do that?
So, just to tell you, I wanted to tell you that, only because there's, I got issues going on at home with the family and things like that, I need to pay attention. Not that I wouldn't be willing to help out in anything, I'd be happy to help out anytime. But I thought I'll do this first and we'll go from here.
I didn't get one.
You didn't get-
Undeserving. Thank you.
So there'll be another spot opened. I think it's fun if you have a lot of people, they don't necessarily have to be on the board to attend this meeting, I wouldn't think. You can still attend the meeting and put in your input of what you think the parade might benefit
Sure.
from, I think.
This being videotaped?
I don't know.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
the girl said she was.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yep.
So watch your mouth.
Uh-oh, did I say something wrong?
Not
Already?
yet.
Already? I know.
What time was the
Sue.
meeting called to order?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. I apologize for being late. Can I say something about the committee, just for a moment, please?
Yes.
So I asked the town clerk yesterday for the list of people who are on the committee for, the active members on the Memorial Day Committee. And it's Richard Breggy, myself, Tom Collier, John Nason, and William Shea. Now, John, you expired,
Whoops.
I don't wanna
Whoop, whoop,
expire.
whoop.
I used the wrong word, I'm really sorry. I should-
Did I
Freudian slip.
expire or am
Oh,
I mean, somebody's gotta let me know.
Your term ended on, 22, so I guess you just tell them that you're still on it, I don't know how this stuff works.
All you have to do
He's
is
gotta
go
go get sworn in.
Yeah, tell the clerk and
Yeah.
she'll swear.
Can I say this? By the time Memorial Day comes around, I'll be 90 years old.
I know, you're
I'm
89
gonna
and a
work
half.
on the program. But that's it, because I have it in the computer and I can help out with that.
Great,
But
and if you show up once in a while, that'd be helpful too,
yes, yeah, for as long as I can.
till you expire.
I guess I'm expired.
No. Your term expired.
Sorry. That's all I have. So noted.
So can we look over the minutes? Review the minutes?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes for the last meeting. That been done yet?
No.
Before, just a little discussion, you mentioned, was it Benjamin Moore that you tried to reach out to?
No, it was, that's Sue.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was Ben Ford,
Okay,
right? Isn't that
Yeah.
his name? It's not Benjamin Moore, is it?
I believe so, whatever, what was the name I
I
gave you in the
gave, you
email?
gave me.
That's a paint
That was
company.
it, Benjamin Moore.
Yeah, I
Benjamin
know.
Moore is paint, isn't it? I don't know.
So we better
That's what I wrote
find
down
out.
in the notes.
I got Ben Ford. And that's what I got. bford117@gmail.
Okay, and,
That's what I got.
so that's from my email?
From you.
Well, that's his name then, not Benjamin Moore, better change that.
Yeah.
We don't need any paint, we need
I think
to
that's
remember.
paint.
So change that to Benjamin Ford.
Sue's painting.
I don't know, that's what my notes said,
Okay.
Benjamin Moore.
There's a house need painting?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I've been after him, I want the kitchen done.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what it is.
That's Benjamin Moore.
That's
That's how long I've been
subliminal
thinking about
suggestion.
So, did you have any discussion on what we're gonna do next year?
Well,
Okay, so now, All right.
So, any more discussion on the minutes? Okay, so I'll second the motion that we accept the minutes as changed when, with the name.
Perfect. Okay, so on our agenda, I just did this real quickly, and you need to vote on a treasurer. So what happened is they have said that we cannot use our supply money until the next meeting. Do they
What's
find
that?
out? We can't use, the departments can't use the money that we have for supplies because the town needs to balance their budget. So, as far as the Memorial Day Fund, we used to have our own account. Now it's in with the Selectmen's General Fund, whatever, which I don't like that, because we had $1,500 to start with, and if anybody wanted to make a donation, they could put it in that account. But now, we can't use any of that money yet, until after the town meeting. They'll see if we can use,
That's the one coming up shortly, okay.
yeah. I
Do
think
we
we
know-
should put in a request at some point, even if it's for next year, for 2024 or whatever. We should put in so we could get more money, because it costs more money than $1,500 to do a Memorial Day parade. We've gotta hire a band, and they're expensive if we wanna get a decent band. So, at
How
some
much are
point,
they allocated for
1,500,
the same amount?
but we don't know if it's passed yet or not.
Right.
Okay.
And we should have our own account. We used to have our own account, a Memorial Day Fund account.
Can we have a fundraiser of some kind?
I mean, I
No.
think we should be able to, because we have all those hats and all the shirts. The shirts are generic, you could use them next year too. But we have the hats, a lot of them say Vietnam hats, you know? We could have, like when we have the Christmas fair, we could put some of those out and maybe sell them,
Mm-hmm.
the Memorial Day committee.
Yeah, that would be a
I
good
wouldn't,
idea.
it's for a good cause, it's a
Will you-
fundraiser for the
Will you
Memorial
have your
Day.
own account again after the town meeting?
Well, I think that's something we need to talk to the town administrator or whomever we talk to about it. Because what happened was the accountant put it together with the general fund, you know, I mean, and it really shouldn't be there. It was much better when we did it when it was our own account.
When did that change?
Well,
Okay.
COVID came, so there was 2 years we didn't, I don't know when they changed it, but it
Oh,
was,
mhm.
it was after I did my not last year, but the one I did before. So in between COVID, somehow it changed.
And it's absolutely too late to ask for more than 1,500 at this point?
I think so.
Okay.
So we might need to try to see if we can get a little donations, or maybe we could raise a little money, with the t-shirts and the hats, maybe, we could do something.
What's that Christmas
Christmas fair we
festival?
have,
Yeah, fair.
the first Saturday, it's only for a day, and we give everybody a 6-foot table, and they put out their goodies, and we
Oh,
have crafters, and we have, silent auctions, and we have food, and we
Oh.
have, it's a fun day.
Excellent.
Do you have a
do
number
what?
of what last year's event cost?
Oh, I have it, but it's in my other folder. I passed it out to everybody. I think everybody should have do you have it in your own? Remember, at the end, I passed out everything to everybody?
Then we know how much more we have to raise, you know?
Well, we're gonna have to get a band, because Quabbin is 2025. Something like that.
Yeah, we're not getting them next
So
year.
we're not getting
We have to
Quabbin.
rotate
And that is the
around.
hardest thing to do, is get a band. You can't get one.
And what happened is we used the majority of the 1,500, but we had people that,
People don't, we
we
bought-
put up the 1,200 for the band. That would be the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Committee put up the 1,200 for the band. And we had another,
Oh,
yeah.
We spent over $2,000 of other people's money before we spent the $1,500. That was the
Joe
budget.
Gadnowitz gave money.
We made one
and
change.
there
You-
was a lot of
you
people
put up
that gave
500?
She
money.
had the wrong name,
Yeah.
Benjamin,
So
it's Benjamin
This
Ford.
one, if you look here, there's over $3,000. It's almost
I
$4,000
mean,
was
if
spent
we
last
wanna have a
year
decent
on the parade.
parade, we gotta have some money. And, you know, we give a lot of ourselves, the committee always gives a lot of their own money, but I think the town should step up and help us out in it.
So I'd make a motion that for, looking ahead for the next year's budget, we ask for at least 3,000.
Yes,
That would be one way of, in the future, accommodating.
we have to get that approved at town meeting.
Yeah, so,
Get the
whatever it
forms.
takes, whoever it takes to submit that to, whoever, either the administrator or the treasurer or the accountant, to get it on, but I would say that's a TA, the town administrator is what would be, submitting that to,
Right, we'd have
for
to, we'd
the
have to,
next town meeting or whatever meeting that's gonna deal with, budget issues. So I definitely say that needs to be a formal request, and we can back it up by what we spent.
Yeah.
No,
Bill, do you think $3,000 is enough to ask for?
I think
Because
it's
it-
double what we're getting, so, and then with, members doing a little bit on their own like we always have, I think that would, supplement it enough to head in the right direction. But we can always ask for 4,500 and let them beat us
well,
down.
let's, yeah,
I,
let's just,
I would
let's,
say, ask for the sky, so that when they give you 3,000, you say, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's fine.
well, listen,
Yeah.
let me, can I just say
Yeah.
something here? If you ask, the town, let's face it, it doesn't have the money. So if you go crazy, they're gonna tell you no right off the bat, and that's gonna be it.
A theme would help. I think the Vietnam thing
think-
was a good thing. Look at how many more people we got here. You know what I'm saying? There's another real issue out there now, and it's suicide by veterans. And I think people would respond to that. Cause you don't know, I read the Irish sports page, I call it,
Uh-huh.
every day, and I see a lot of
Media
young men
obituaries.
passing away suddenly. That's, they don't put down that, they were sick, and,
Right, I was,
you would know,
I was asked in the last meeting to find some, themes, and that is what, people are saying, and it falls right in line with Memorial Day, which is the, veterans that have passed away serving their country. And PTSD is on the rise, again, because people are having a hard time coping. The VA is maxed out because of COVID. A lot of doctors have left. It took me 10 months to get a new therapist and a psychiatrist, and 10 months is a huge time to go without that kind of help and support. And we just attended, my husband and I just attended about, in the last 4 months, 3 people who passed away from suicide that we know from the National Guard. And so it fits in the scheme of Memorial Day, which is remembering those that passed away, and it really hits home to the people, what they're suffering from today. My son, again, he's younger than I am. I know that's hard to believe, but he has friends that are suffering from PTSD, and he has a little thing on his arm to remember those people from. So I think it would be
there's so many
something to
people
draw
that
people.
served in Iraq, and then served in
Vietnam.
Afghanistan. There's a fellow
Yeah.
running for Congress up in New Hampshire.
Mhm.
I forget how many tours
Ten.
he's been, huh?
10 tours,
Yeah,
Bulldog.
in general.
Yeah,
And,
Boulder, he's got quite a record, but, at least he's continuing to serve, which is a good thing. I think gives you,
Yeah.
you need something to keep you focused.
But this is bringing to attention too, PTSD in Vietnam and Korea and in World War II. They've called it shell shock, they've called it, all kinds of things. But I think now to kind of address it here would mean that, it's the stigma, to help stop the stigma and help people.
So you mean as part of the fundraising, part of the actual event, or?
Part of the actual event, we were thinking about a theme, and that seems to be the most prevalent thing, and it would fit right in with being a Memorial Day, as opposed to a Veterans Day, being a Memorial Day.
Okay, so we got
So do you
noted
want-
that we should be asking for more, for the future year. We should agree on a price so that, we're in agreement with that. And, whether that be the 3,000 that I brought up or the 4,500, I'm not sure the process. I don't know that is there something, I negotiate all the time. So would it be if we asked for 45 and that we could substantiate that 4,500, and then that they could say no, but we could allocate you 3,000, like you say, ask for the sky and then drop back. I wouldn't want them to say no outright and then have nothing. So, I mean, when we do the cultural council, we get grants that come in and they ask for a certain amount. And based on the amount of money we had, we try to allocate that, and almost never do we give the individual their full amount. We give them, because we'll ask them if they have other sources of funding, and sometimes they are asking other towns, cultural councils, they have private sources, so generally speaking, it's an asking amount, and then we allocate them a certain amount. Not sure how that rolls down with the town budget in terms of asking. I wouldn't want a full rejection, because then we're back to square one.
Well, I know how to do it that way.
Mhm.
They can tell you no, they could say, no, we can't do that.
Can you substantiate $4,500?
Well, you've got that right there.
Yeah, I didn't
If you
add it
add
up, so.
If you add up the numbers, the first two,
What we
the
spent.
top line item in the bottom, that's $3,000 right there.
Okay?
And then you have all the other incidentals that are in between at the top of the
And,
page.
and Ryan may have some feedback on the band up there at Maze, or, because we don't know yet if we're gonna be able to secure a band for free, or we're gonna have to pay, so that was a major expenditure from last time, that was $1,200, so.
There are a number of bands out there. There are a lot of correction officers, I think I mentioned it last time. They have a band, and I'm sure you're gonna have to get in line, you know, but there are a lot of correction officers that are retired and former that live in Hubbardston. And it might be something we can take a shot at.
Are we jumping ahead to talk about that?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we should follow our thing,
Yeah,
because
let's
I
do
get
it.
I'm
lost.
sorry,
But I mean, it's such,
I'm
I'm-
just bringing up where
so let's
these
first
bands
vote
are
on a
from.
treasurer. Can we vote on a treasurer? Who would like to be the treasurer? Do we have a treasurer here? Rich? You got a wife that can help you.
We don't do it to start some kind of 521 or 501.
What I
plan or
did with,
something.
no,
No, just
So
making
what
sure
I
that
do is
those
you're
get
gonna keep
paid.
track of the money that's paid. You're gonna send a voucher in when you get a bill, and I'll show you how to do it. I'd be happy to help you
Well,
with
we
it.
can both do it.
And I can help you with it, Sue. Show you how the vouchers and
I'll do
stuff are
it.
done. But you can't be the secretary
Okay,
and
the
the
treasurer. So
treasurer.
you
I
could
don't
be the
think that's a
treasurer.
Yeah,
good
but
thing.
she'll do it all.
But we're gonna put,
You'll just sign your name
we're
to it.
gonna, so, and does anybody else wanna jump up to that plate? No.
I nominate Dick as the treasurer for our committee.
So when donations are made, like from us and other people, it goes into an actual bank account, or?
Yes, they'll have account here. It's like, this is the bank. They're the bank. So I'm hoping we can get I'll help you with that. I'm hoping we're gonna get our account, our Memorial Day account back. And if we do, we'll have a number, just like you do a checkbook. In comes this check, you write it out, you write the voucher, it goes in there, they put it in our account. A bill comes in, you get another number for bills to be paid, you write it on that, and you put it there, and you give them that, and they will pay the bill.
Okay.
So it's like having a checking account and they're the bank.
Correct me if I'm wrong, did you say it's gonna be in general funds therefore, in the
Yeah, but
town?
if we could try to get it in our own account,
And are we
I'm
gonna
gonna
be able to
talk,
do that
I'm
at
go-
that meeting when they talk about the budget?
we gotta first of all find out what the budget's gonna be and how much they're gonna cut. Are
Once
gonna
they-
cut- are they
Probably,
gonna
it's
cut-
probably too late to get anything on the warrant this year.
But I could also, I gotta check and see, I'll call Kelly, the accountant, and ask her if she'll open up that account back it, what do
I
I
mean,
have
if
to do
they
to
have
get
the,
it
if they put those funds in the select board, wherever they put them, right? Cause that $1,500 that you have now is there.
Is there,
I-
so we would use that
So I
account.
would say you're not gonna get anything this year.
Yeah,
Or this,
that makes sense.
for this coming one, because they just cut all the departments. So
They
I
did.
wouldn't think that you'd get any extra this year. You could put it,
Extra money you talking about?
yeah. When
Yeah.
you get the new TA in, you could sit down with him and
Yeah, well, we're
and
trying,
try to hash out what you could get for the next fiscal year.
right, so,
But, and then maybe talk about separating that back out to, I think that'd probably be the best way to do it,
okay,
yeah.
And I would
Alright.
strongly recommend, if indeed my experience working with the Veterans Memorial Committee when the money belonged to the town, we tried to establish an account. We couldn't do it because everything had to go through the town. So my recommendation would be a formal, that 1,500 we're talking about, should that happen, and then that donation account, I would leave totally unofficial and separate. And because otherwise, if you collected $225 as a donation, it has to go to the town.
It
And then
does.
they put it in their account, and then you have to account for it. Complicated. If you could simplify it by leaving that totally as an unofficial donation account, like you did over there, and then the money could go in there with a designation for Memorial Day.
We would have to have them set up a donation account for the Memorial Day here.
The
And my
town?
donation account is through the town. That money all goes in here.
So anything you collect there goes over there?
Same thing with ours.
Cause it's town money, it's anybody who donates, it's town money, so it has to be, so like, he has it set up, it's like a checkbook. Okay, $1,500, oh, you gave me a donation of 200, that's a deposit,
So
$200.
you give it to them and they add that to it?
You
Okay.
keep track of every single thing that comes in and out, so that you can say, and you keep copies of every single thing. So you can say, oh, wait a minute, you don't have this donation down here, I got a copy of it, and this is where it is. So you always keep your copies of everything, you set it up, your own book, so you know, you don't take that word for it, you make sure you match. Every month, you match, just like you
Remember
would
that,
a
Sue.
checking account. Well, because if you don't,
Oh, yeah.
everybody can
So
make
when you ask for a
mistakes.
donation, somebody writes a check, what is the check made out to?
Town of
Town of
Hubbardston.
Town of Hubbardston Memorial Day Committee. Memorial
Same thing
Day
with cash.
account, Memorial Day
Mhm.
Committee, you gotta make sure you put that on there, so you know it will go in the right account.
So you just
Yeah.
keep a spreadsheet of,
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, and you balance it every month, you make sure you get their report and you balance it every month, cause if you let it go, before you know it,
It
Well,
was
how-
gone.
okay,
you
the
could
next
have a
question is,
mistake
how do you go
somewhere
about-
and,
how do you go about getting donations?
oh, well, that, don't worry about that, we'll work on that, that's easy. I'm a great one that gets donations.
So when the checks come in the mail, here,
But we won't get any checks, so figure you're not gonna have any checks, you're gonna start with the 1,500.
no, I mean for donations.
But we don't know if
worried
we're
about
even
it.
gonna get any, hun. So when we get one, if it comes in the mail, or it'll come in the Memorial Day fund, whatever, we'll give it to you. Sue will write out the voucher, it'll go in there, you'll put it in the check.
Let's say I give a donation to hats, that's where I want the money to go. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what anybody else says.
Yeah.
It's my money, and I can.
So you give me the money, I'll go buy the hats.
Right, which we've done in the past, you
Yeah.
know?
That's what we did, yeah. But we keep a record of what we spent,
Mm-hmm,
that it was a donation, and we keep a record of it, so that if any questions, we have it all right there. So, it's really kind of fun, that's something I can help you with.
'Cause she's
Okay,
really
so do
gonna
we
be
have
doing
a,
it, not me, you know.
shh,
Yep.
no,
No.
okay,
We'll be
so,
Tanya.
do we
Team
have
up.
a motion do we have a motion?
Yep, you
Bill?
did.
Do we have, second that a motion? Do we have a second?
Can I second it, or
Yep,
can't
you're on the
second it?
committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
No nepotism there.
Okay,
Okay, so now we need a new chairperson. I tell you, I do this with regret because I love Memorial Day and I would wanna, but, do we have someone, I say Bill?
No, ma'am, no,
No, ma'am?
I'm far too busy. I wanna be involved as I am and will participate in a very active way, but to become a chair of another committee, I'm not prepared to do that, so, yeah.
I hear you. Who else is on the board?
We have Tom Collier.
And who else?
Tom Collier, John Nason, Bill Shea, Rich, and me. That's it,
And
John
that's it
says no.
officially, right?
that's official.
Okay. And are we allowed
We
to
have
have more
another,
committee members?
we haven't, yeah, cause I'm not gonna be on it, right?
You're not gonna be on the committee at all? You're not gonna, you can remain on the committee without being the chair. Is that, you wanna
Is
be
that
involved,
true?
right?
Well, I will be involved, I just didn't wanna be involved as much, I don't know what the future's gonna pull
Mhm.
for us. So I don't wanna commit to something and I can't do it. although I love it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love it, and I will help. So Ryan, are you on the board? No.
I'm not on it, no.
Are you gonna be coming on the board, Skip?
I hope so.
I nominate Skip to be the chairperson.
No, wait a minute. I think we ought to be out looking for other people, you know,
You can only have so many on the board.
That's how many
How
can
many
be on
can
the
be?
committee?
some veterans.
I mean, I can
There's
s-
one,
Is
two,
Joe's not here.
But Joe would not, Joe was very active, but he made it very clear last year that his participation was based on his experience working in Ashburnham, and that he wanted to remain definitely in the background. And we accepted and agreed to that, and Joe, I believe, will do the same again this year, because he's a good guy and a good veteran. But I know that he would not want to take a leadership role. I'm speaking on his behalf without
Yeah.
any foresight other than knowing him personally. I think,
All right.
I think we should table that,
Alright,
and
so,
at the next meeting, do some thinking about it, and perhaps ask Tom Collier if he would be willing to pick up that hat. And perhaps he would, he's been the spokesperson and the moderator, but
Should,
so-
should we be, maybe reaching out to other veterans in town that might wanna be on it, or?
Sheila, you know anybody else in town that you think might be a good member for the committee?
Not that it comes to mind about being, well, there are two people I can reach out to. One is, fairly new, he's young, and, looking to do things for the town, so I might be able to get him involved. It might be a good thing for him to get out.
And even if they became committee members, not necessarily, because it's like saying a Skip, do you want to join a committee, and you'd like to be chairman? It's like
Yeah.
two big leaps at
Yeah.
once.
Why did I come here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Can it be a, like
as
a,
you slow down like this in the chair.
can it be
So,
like a written description of what the chairman's,
that's a good point. Claudia, can you write that out, what the responsibility of the chairman is? No,
Well,
I think
I just-
that getting, if we got a couple more members,
yeah,
we can certainly use them. One of the things you have to factor in is with Ben Ford, is I believe he works during the day. So if meetings being during the day are gonna make it very difficult for him to be here, and that might translate to a reluctance to be on the committee. He came that day and was wicked helpful that day, just what can I do type of thing, and I put him to work. So,
I think that
and if
you'll,
we need people to be here for a meeting, and we tell them that, and you get a youngster, and he's got a job and he can't be here, we have two options. One is to have the meeting in the evening,
Right.
and early evening, like a lot of the other committees do. And the second would be to have them on the committee, but more as a volunteer for that day, because he's not gonna be able to get involved in the everyday activities of the committee. So I would say, Sheila, keep that in mind if you have a person that's retired or works a second shift, and I would say, would you be willing to come to some of the meetings that we're holding them during the day? That would be kind of one of the criteria, otherwise we have an absentee member.
I think a description of
Alright,
the
so-
responsibilities, if
so-
you could, be helpful.
I think from last year, I don't think we're gonna have a hard time trying to find people to help that day. I think many people are willing to help on that day. My thing is, I'm not gonna get the float and the trailers and the thing, I can't do that I can't, but I love having the veterans, I love having the floats, they loved coming. That, I guess, was my big thing, it's too much, my husband can't do it, he can't help me, so I can't do that, so, but I mean, I can withdraw for a little while and stay if you want me to stay until you find someone that you think would wanna take over as the chairman, I will do that,
My
if you want.
experience, you're not gonna get a new person in here and make him chairman right away. It's
Right.
not gonna work.
Okay, I'll volunteer to do a description of the roles and responsibility of the chairperson. I'll send that out to all of you, and that'd be an idea. It's kind of generic, you know. and- Yeah,
I don't
it's
have
not
any
hard,
rules, I just go
other
by
than
the
you
system.
being the person that,
I know, that's why it's not.
because then
I'm
you
not-
delegate, but, you know, Claudia, if you can stay on in unofficial capacity and attend the meetings, bearing in mind your own responsibilities, et cetera, I think the committee would certainly appreciate it. You know, it's just,
Alright.
yeah.
I don't really.
Without putting pressure on you, I don't
No,
wanna
no,
put you on the
as
spot.
long as I have that to, I need to be where I need to be. I don't mind, I can stay on and help, but I wanna be honest with you, I have no idea what the rules and regulations are. I go by the seat of my pants and what I think is gonna make the date.
So
That's-
you're actually saying you'll stay on as a member?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll stay
All right.
on and
I'll put you on the spot, but you stay on
To
as a
help out.
member. And then, because I think that makes it eminently important that we know what, you know, in comparison, which did last year was an overwhelming amount of stuff, what you would not be able to do. And therefore, we're gonna have to delegate that to somebody else. Because I believe that, you know, we have a big set of shoes to fill for next year in terms of what people might expect. And so, you know, we're gonna do what we're gonna do based on what we have, and that's it, you know. But you gotta, I think that the floats were great, the trucks pulling the trade, getting the veterans here from Worcester, all that stuff was phenomenal. It just made for a successful day. And it'd be, we're not gonna try to duplicate that necessarily, that shouldn't be our goal. With a whole new theme, as important as any other themes we've had in the past. But there are many, many, many parts that go into it, and that's where your volunteers are gonna come in handy. But we still need a nucleus of membership and leadership.
we need
That's,
to keep what we had and add more.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
Do we have a specific number of members that we have to have on the board?
that's what, can you find that out? Is it?
Sue, yeah, do you have the, we have, how many is there? And there's one more, can have one more than that.
2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5, and
And
it
6
says
on
we can
6.
have alternates. If we know, how many can you have on the Memorial Day Committee? I know that with the Cultural Council, there was a certain amount. With all of the,
Can I see
The
this?
reason I'm asking that is I'm willing to help with the program,
So
Wonderful,
one,
yeah.
two,
and,
three,
but I can be an
four,
ex officio
five.
member.
So
You know what I'm saying?
six.
oh, you're an alternate, that's what,
Yeah.
So,
Ex officio, we can call you that too. Yeah. Not expired though.
we can have 6 board members.
6, okay. So we basically have a vacancy, and I would like to think that Scott.
Not if I come back on.
Yeah,
If I come back on, that'll be 6.
okay, and that'd be 6, okay.
Yeah, but he can still be here as far as like an
And be a-
auxiliary and
and
help
be a-
us.
literally an
help
alternate.
us.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, great.
yeah, good.
Okay.
Cause the more information we have, the better.
So that means that literally, you need to
I need to
let,
go back.
yeah, let them know. And then everybody else's, term is still up to date?
I'm excited.
John,
Yeah, yeah.
623, 623,
And that's why you
622
weren't
is
listed
John.
here.
So John, are you going on as an alternate? You're not gonna get reinstated? You're gonna be an
I'm
alternate?
not gonna get reinstated.
No, so an alternate
Okay, so
would be
then
fine.
skip if you wanna be on the board.
Well, no, that, if we.
Because John is
that's
just-
right, yeah, good. Okay.
Right, so if you wanna be on the board, skip, you can. Cause John is gonna be an alternate. Okay, so if you go get sworn in,
You have this.
okay. So then that will be Skip.
So Skip, you would go to the town clerk and tell him you'd like to be, and then they'll have some, I'm not sure if each of the terms is 1 year, I know that mine was, but, you know, whatever's available, you know, as, left that vacant spot, that's what you sign up for. And you've been involved for many years in it, right? Yeah, so. Okay, so now we have, we'd have a full complement.
Yep, we have the full one. All right, So shall we move on? We're gonna, do we wanna vote on that chairperson thing, or are we just gonna,
Table that.
Yeah, I recommend that we table it for the next meeting.
so I'll just hang around for a little longer. Ryan, the band,
Okay, so I got an email back from the state police. So all I need to provide them with, and now that I know we don't really have a band, so we probably want the full band, if we could get it.
Monty?
yes,
So all I need to send them is a letter of request for the date, time, and then the entire band, and that goes to the colonel of the state police. He has a designee that handles this, so I'll send it to her, and once they review it, they'll get it to the personnel, and then they'll determine what they can provide to us. So I'll send that letter out this week.
Now's the time, yeah.
Yeah, get it out early so that we can get in it. What time is the parade gonna be? on
Okay, so
Memorial Day?
11 o'clock again, what do you think?
yes.
11
I
o'clock?
like
Was that a
that,
good
11.
time? I thought
I
that.
thought it was better than, past years have been later. I think 11's good.
Yeah, cause that gives people time to spend time at the services, come over here and spend a little time and still go off to spend time with their family. So
Yeah.
I think 11 o'clock is
You got a
good
list
time.
of all the connections from last year, right? When they-
Absolutely.
I have them,
Mhm.
yep, I have everything.
So I'll get that letter out
Great, yeah.
and
Cause I thought she was
hopefully
very
we'll get
friendly when I talked to her last year, it was just too late to get,
Right.
yeah,
yeah,
something, so.
yeah. So the earlier the better. I'll
So
get that
that-
going.
Good, we don't have to worry about that, that's a big,
Well,
that's a
this
big-
is,
Well, hopefully they'll be able to provide it for
Hopefully,
us, right?
yeah. Okay, all right, the report from me from Quabbin Band, we don't have them till 2025. So, we can't have that band.
Okay.
we won't need it if we have the state police.
Right, that would be ideal.
And would you like me to reach out to the National Guard again and see if they'll send the honor guard?
Yes,
Okay, and I'll reach out to Monty Tech and see if they'll send their honor guard along. And I'll also reach out to Quabbin, because they have, a drill team. And I know that each of the time I did it last year, they said, get back to me in March, but then I got back to them in February after I initiated the contact in November or December, so I'll do that.
you gonna do Monty Tech too, or no?
Yeah, I said Monty
Bill,
Tech.
on the National Guard
Vehicle.
one, ask them to send some trucks too,
Yeah,
vehicles.
yeah, vehicles, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they were very limited last year, as we ended up with 3, and of course, as you know, they couldn't carry weapons, and it was nice of Salvador's to send along the tank.
Yep.
And then we had a couple from Higgins, they sent some, and we had 1 or 2 in town, so we had a good representation as far as military vehicle, but I'd like to have
Yeah.
an Abrams there and things like that, yeah. Good luck. But I will, yeah.
Okay, we can, we did committee members, so we can skip right over to Sheila.
I kinda don't have my notes from last meeting, so I wasn't quite sure what I was supposed to report on other than the topics. And that one, the PTSD is the one that kept coming up as the, when the current veterans think about, think that was reoccurring, of how they've lost friends due to that issue. And because it's Memorial Day, I thought that was a good fit. Not too many other options, as I was talking to my friends, came up about what kind of theme.
Well, I mentioned, I think, the last meeting I was in, if we could do some research and find relatives of Civil War casualties, and have the kids who were descendants maybe, or just the school kids, read their names, I actually tried to look up some World War I a couple of weeks ago. There were 2 on the list. One guy's name was William Livingston.
From Hubbardson?
Yeah, and so I tried to find relatives. He had a brother who became a lawyer for the PGA. He moved to Lynn though, but the brother had three kids, so I don't know who's left, but, and then they had another one, and they had the town spelled wrong, there was no D, it was just R-S-T-O-N, and I couldn't, he said Hubbardston, Mass, but I couldn't find him anywhere, so, but there were 2.
And those were World War
World War
One or,
I.
yeah, okay.
But I thought the kids read the names of Civil War, maybe, it wouldn't take long.
So, we were talking about Sheila was talking about, the veterans today, you know, with suicide and things like that, and I think the last meeting that we were talking about maybe going with the honoring the younger vets. That way we can get their families involved, their children involved, and they can try to learn the meaning of Memorial Day by getting them involved. And I think it would go right along with what Sheila's saying, because the younger vets, and it does include the older ones, but the younger ones are having trouble just as much as the older ones. So I targeting the younger vets and their families and the thing, I thought would be a great thing to do, because I know doing the old ones is great, but they're dead and gone, and probably most of their veterans people are gone. But now we're living in today's world. This is our
The thing
today's
that's really
veterans.
missing in this whole
is
conversation
important.
is how war has changed. Used to have one line, the other line are in trenches. Now you have all kinds of guerrilla warfare, people losing their legs, stepping on plates, you know, that blow them up. And that's why you've got so many of those veterans. It's changed, you know? And,
You know, we're going down to Washington week after next, I read names
Yes.
at the wall every 5 years. And they're running out of guys to do that. It used to be, you give them a name and they'd add 19 more to it, and you do 20 for each guy you knew. Now they're up to 30. And they asked Susan if she'd do it, and they never got back to her, but they're running low on people. I gotta be there at like 20 minutes of 5 in the morning, you know. But I figure I'll go by Joe Biden's house and say hi.
I think
Getting back to what Dick has said, as far as having youngsters read it, I think that could be a component.
Yeah.
That could be one part of the ceremony,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, and as opposed to it being a theme, but to celebrate and remember veterans of past, and if we could link it up with any youngsters that had relatives
Yeah.
that served, I mean, I think that'd be great. You could say my granddad along with, or my great-grandfather along with.
Yes.
So as far as the agenda for the services, I think that'd be a really appropriate thing to do to bring the connection in, so.
Well, you got all those names there, that'd be a lot of research, so.
Believe me.
Shays
Do we
Rebellion,
have-
there was one, was it Wheeler?
Silas,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went down to Worcester,
Yeah.
he took over the courthouse for a couple of days. Imagine that,
Yeah.
terrorists from Hubbardston.
Yeah, be locked up for 2 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, has anybody in Hubbardston, a young person in Hubbardston, passed away during this conflict that's been going over in Iraq and Iran? Have we lost anybody?
Not that I know of, I mean,
No.
I could be wrong, but, you know,
Yeah.
I don't
because,
think
yeah.
No.
Because people could, just like we did with the Vietnam, before, during, or after, they could have lived in town before, during, or moved in after, and so you had three components. But getting, focusing on the theme we're talking about, that Sheila
Right.
brought up, we also talked about a Medal of Honor recipient, and I did some research. Tom Collier was gonna try to make contacts, and I don't know if Tom gave you
I
any
got-
feedback.
Yeah, he called, he can't make it because they have personal stuff. So he, did you tell me, hold on, I gotta read my own writing. He said, oh yes, he contacted the person, and the guy told him, whoever he spoke to, he didn't give me a name or anything, he said for him to contact him a little later. So he said he's still working on it, he's still gonna contact me later, he hasn't gotten any ground on it yet, but he's working on it, that's what he said. Speaker highlighted word of the country, yeah.
I did a little research and looking for living Congressional Medal of Honor winners in Massachusetts. And there's, to the best of the knowledge that I came up with, there's one fellow by the name of Ryan Pitts, Army Staff Sergeant, retired, lives in New Hampshire now, was born in Lowell, and has professional and personal connections to Massachusetts. He now lives in Nashua, and a real hero. The second was a Captain Thomas Kelly, and he served in Vietnam, and he's still alive. He lives in the Boston area. He's still active. He works with the Red Sox and home base program. So if we can remember, we talked a little bit about getting a speaker here, Congressional Medal of Honor winner.
That second one is very sought after and has a very
Okay.
busy schedule.
Right.
I know him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's
How about the
usually
Commissioner
very,
of
very
Veterans
busy.
Affairs, is he still alive? From Quincy, I think. He was a Medal of Honor winner. I'm trying to think of his name, can't remember. But, you know,
Yeah.
he's-
You know, I can reach out to the historian actually for the Guard. They would know those people and how to get hold of them, I'm sure, 'cause he's amazing. I was just thinking though, if we did that theme of PTSD, there are several people in this area or, you know, Massachusetts that have lost limbs along that same line.
Mhm.
And if we're obviously PTSD and would probably be able to speak.
I think
So-
you might be, because that'd be the whole idea, is to have someone
Yep.
who, it represents that theme, who is prepared to speak on it, and to be able to communicate to the audience, you know, that theme. So we need to find, you know, someone who could do that, or perhaps a couple people that could do it, because they might represent different, you know, one might be a physical injury, the other could be mental related, and how they adjusted back to civilian life and so on and so forth. I certainly can't walk a foot in their step, in their shoes, but, so Sheila, can you pursue that?
I will.
Yeah. And perhaps at the next meeting, we could have a little more formulative idea, because once again, as Sheila said, this Captain Thomas Kelly, when I looked him up, you know, there 3 or 4 times when he was speaking at different events, and probably a very, very busy individual, but, you know, getting along the hierarchy of the Veterans Organization, if we could get a couple of potential representatives, even better if they're from the area, and, but I think as a member of the committee, I think that we should settle on a theme, and that I would recommend that that be the theme. And I think it's very commendable, and it certainly should draw attention to not only past issues, but current issues. And even more so to appeal to our school children, who are being educated and have little or no idea about that. And they may see it in their own families, you know, so we should, I'd make a motion that we adopt as our theme for 2023, the issues related to veterans, today's veterans, or all veterans. And what would be the correct term to use for that? I don't wanna call it PTSD necessarily, what would you say? Issues related to veterans, how would you describe that in such a fashion that it would not only not offend, but would attract individuals who would understand that we're looking to educate people about this very important issue.
Well, if you've actually seen it happen, you can go back to it and kind of remember the
that was all-
different people it
you had
happened to,
given me all
what-
that
how the
stuff.
response was.
And I'll
So
give it,
part of it could
this is
be
all stuff that's going.
training you
this is
receive
all
as an
stuff that's going
18-year-old to
tomorrow.
respond to stuff
Okay.
like that.
Tomorrow.
And it sticks with you.
When I get our
You'll
windshield,
remember it for a
we
long
have to
time.
administer it.
And I
Be
don't know if
leaving
that's
her,
part of it
all
or
this
not,
stuff
but
already.
tell the kids you'll be trained.
What would we call it, Sheila, what do you?
All right, thank you.
the word trauma keeps coming up, but,
I mean, we'd have classes on how to put tourniquets on somebody's leg if the foot got blown out, and it actually happened, you know. And, you know, they would use animals to teach us. And,
They'd probably be very reluctant to say that they've got PTSD, you know?
So
It's a
could
real-
we use a generic, I mean, I'm just gonna throw it out this year.
I'm just
yeah,
saying
no,
that-
go ahead.
So could we use something generic like, something saying honoring our veterans of today, or the veterans, instead of saying exactly PSDT or
Right.
trauma or because when the veteran comes up and talks, you're gonna know about the trauma, because they're gonna speak on what their experiences has been. So you somehow you want them to know the younger veterans from 40 and younger, or, you know, whatever, or 50 and 30? No, 60? Well, I don't know how you'd wanna put it.
I have friends that are 70
Oh, I am.
that are
I mean,
Iraq and Afghanistan.
technology is so much better now,
So,
that people who
a
do get
generic
injured
kind
like
of
that.
a-
What if you call it, the underlying theme would be the PTSD, but honoring, you know,
All veterans of today?
uh,
I mean,
or Iraq and Afghanistan veterans would be the overall theme, but underneath we would keep that
You
PTSD.
call it Middle East.
Because then we
maybe?
could have, the vet center would, I'm sure, probably have their mobile van here, one call away, I'm sure would help with the donations and getting you stuff. There's a lot of 22 it's,
Honoring the
organizations.
veterans.
But there's a lot of
22 kill or something, isn't it?
yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah.
You call it Middle Eastern veterans, maybe, something like that, just to,
it's-
cause you got about 4 different.
How about asking the speaker to be somebody from maybe the VA or a psychiatrist, talking about the number of veterans they see, you know, or something similar to that?
Yeah, the vet center is a counseling thing, which is a sidearm of the VA. And when we were talking, I was thinking about reaching out to them and finding somebody who would be willing to speak, that
That's okay.
has gone through the physical and mental issues. But if we do the, I know it sounds really strange, but if we do this lovely little side thing of maybe to your term, like honoring the veterans of today.
Or did you wanna name the wars?
I mean,
you could-
technically, it's Iraq and Afghanistan, and it encompasses all the other,
Alright, so
Global
why don't we,
War on Terror.
or global
Yeah.
war on terror.
That's
Yeah,
kind
maybe
of
that's a more encompassing.
that's more, yeah, I'd say it's more encompassing, you know.
Would that go back to Desert
2001
It does.
Like
Okay.
Kuwait.
Yeah, even
Well,
Desert Storm,
Kuwait,
yeah.
Iraq,
Yeah.
Afghanistan, they're all under Iraq and Afghanistan. There's some, the Pakistan, the Tajikistan, all the stands.
All the stands.
All the stands are included in that, but
But they
global war
would-
on terrorism is actually not just the people who deployed, but also the people that stayed behind, so.
So how does
So do you-
honoring our global war veterans sound?
Yeah,
Okay,
that would encompass all the
yep.
yeah,
wars without naming them, because they might think they're.
right,
And
no,
then
it
we
would,
could have under that, as part of the agenda,
yeah,
literally, we could say issues that veterans are facing, and perhaps 1 or 2 other themes, you know, benefits available to current veterans. You know, and I think that, I think that's a really generic but succinct title, so I'll make a motion that our theme for next year be called Honoring Our Global War Veterans. Somebody like to second that?
Second,
Okay. All those in favor?
aye.
Okay. Okay, motion passes. Unofficially, we have no official chairperson, so,
Well, you can focus your speakers
I'm the
on.
chairperson right now,
yeah.
aren't
You
I?
can focus. Speakers can focus on the
See?
PBS.
Right.
Somehow we got you back in there.
So
Kick me out
it
the
doesn't
door.
have to be a listed, this is what we're talking about, but
Shush.
that's what they can touch on.
Right.
They could've said
I think
no,
if you
don't
get the
go.
speaker, they'll speak about their experience, which is both of them.
Right.
And then if we reach out and get like somebody from the vet center or from the VA that can come and speak after that, it would be very helpful.
Yeah, I think-
And I bet the vet center would bring their van out, because this is usually a very traumatic time for, veterans and even for, past wars, because it brings up stuff that they've done with.
And I
done with.
visualize-
So do you think we would have two speakers
Maybe 3,
or
Two or
three?
three.
yeah, I think 3. You break it up, we kinda give them approximate amount of time they speak.
Yeah.
So once again, cause we try to get it within that 1 hour maximum.
Three speakers and then someone out from,
So, some of the organizations would be the Vet Center, which is in Worcester, and they have a mobile van that they usually will bring with them. One Call Away is a foundation in Western Mass that is specifically for, suicide prevention. And then 22
I think it's 22
to
kills.
none, or, 22. There's.
Google will tell me.
There's a couple of them, because 22, there's another one out there about, it's so big that there's so many organizations, and I'm sure that they would contribute, help get somebody here, and,
so
So
we're
we
gonna
could-
put, are we gonna
your
put you
vision
in
is-
charge of that, Sheila? You gonna be doing,
Say-
talking to these people or no?
will I talk to these people and help? Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can do that.
So
And that
that's
van
like a
would be-
sub-thing of One
What's it called?
Tribe Foundation.
What's it
The
called?
what?
One Tribe Foundation?
No, it's One Call Away.
Oh, this is a different, the
Yeah.
22 kill is like a
Oh,
sub
22
thing.
kill, that's,
It's like their,
yeah. Oh, right.
fundraiser name.
And having that van here, literally in the parking lot out here would be great, cause I was thinking maybe have it up on the common, but I think that it's better having it down here, because then people after, if they wanted to talk, versus being there, or even having them up there and having them move down, but certainly one or the other. And that is, we're not just talk, we're prepared to do action and follow-up. That's what it makes it more meaningful, so I think that's a great way to go.
So I was gonna ask, is your vision that you would have these people who offer services be here that day? So if a veteran wants to reach out, there's somebody for them to talk with.
That would be my vision, is that they
Yeah.
would show up here, and,
And Sheila, with your multiple responsibilities, would you be prepared to be here that day? Can you, cause you,
I can be here that day. I mean, my responsibilities are going down, but yeah, I can be there.
okay, so, cause you'd be kind of the conduit, not necessarily speaking, but the conduit to help
Right.
with the logistics and have all the contact people and potentially flyers we could pass out, or, once again, to be proactive versus just being a static display. I think that's important.
Normally when they bring the van, it is a group of their people with counselors. They actually have live counselors, and then they usually go like 4, and they can go into the van, and they can do private
Yeah.
counseling session, but they also stand outside and hand out all the information, so it's not a static display is actually.
Is that the group from Grove Street? Is that-
No, it's actually called the Vet Center, and they
Okay.
have 3 or 4 of them in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
but they are not the VA, but they work with the VA.
And they're located in Worcester, that's where they're located?
One of their locations is
So
Worcester,
it's
yeah.
Different from the Veterans Center that we got the
Correct.
bus for and had.
Right.
Oh, yes,
Yes, it
that
is.
was like the homeless,
Yes, it
yeah,
is.
that's different, yeah. Now, would this van be in the parade? Would they drive in it?
We would have to ask them what their plan is. They might wanna just keep it in one location because of everybody trying to walk around. It might be hard to try to get that van located, let's say out here parked and
Okay,
Can
initiatives,
you
but, yeah.
seek them out at this point and ask if
Yeah,
they're-
my friend, I'll reach out to my friend
Good.
who does
Yeah.
like that.
It's formulating. Starting to percolate.
It is, it's gonna be wonderful, I know it. See that, I just get crazy. Okay, so, are we going on to the next, we got this good, this is good now, we get the theme, we're all set with the theme, we know what we're gonna do,
And
okay? And the, reach out to Ben Ford, I did that, but I will follow up with a phone call.
Yeah, mhm.
Follow up with a phone call.
Cause he said he wanted to participate, but
I'll
once
stand
again,
up.
he may be one of the ones that can't get here during the day.
Right,
Yeah.
and we did the theme. So, is there any other business we wanna talk about today? Is there anything else we wanna clear up, anything else we wanna work on?
I'm still gonna do the other items, like when the kids recite names and things like that.
Yes, yeah. I think those are all kind of the staples of it,
Yeah.
and, I mean, just think about, when you think about that whole ceremony, that young girl who did that talk just was, stimulating and,
Oh,
you know.
I would be happy to do that again this year.
Yeah,
Find
you
the
did a great job
girls.
with that, doing the,
I'll do that.
you know, the interviews and then we'll, try to get the scouts involved and, you know, and I'll volunteer to reach out to the antique car. I mean, they seem to be very happy. We had 34 antique cars and, classic cars and people really like that. We had a lot of cooperation from Ryan and the police in terms of, using both sides of the road and, you know, I was not up at the parking lot, but I was told that went well. I think, you know, I've thought of a few things that we want to improve, like getting some tents out there. and,
Yes.
you know.
That's very important, especially for veterans and older people, because they take medicine and the sun is bad for them.
Mhm.
So we really need to do that. That would be a good thing. I have one question. Now, Rich was saying that, I need to understand what this is in my head. He was saying have the kids read names. What names are gonna be read? How many names are gonna be read? How do we pick the kids? Where are we getting these names from,
Well, you
Rich?
probably online find, Civil War casualties from Hubbardston.
Yeah,
or
there are
something.
41 on the memorial.
So we
So
wanted
those
to-
41 names, and I think that someone reading them loud and clear, people are gonna say, oh, that family's still in town. Oh, there's a street named after them. Oh, you know, I remember them. And so I think that's stimulation,
So do you wanna mix the,
but we
Do you wanna-
couldn't do it for all the wars because then you have,
so do you wanna?
World War II.
Do you wanna mix that with the theme that we're trying to do now, which we're trying to focus more on the,
That wouldn't be a theme, that'd be one component, and I would designate no more than 5 minutes for that. And I would say the best bet would be perhaps to select one war.
Well, you could do World War I, like I said, I found two. One I could.
Well, we had more veterans from.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the actual people that get killed.
Yeah, so I would say reading all the names.
Yeah.
And then if we had a little more information about the two that were, I think there were 3 that were killed, but we could be right about the 2. I think we had 1 merchant marine. I haven't looked at that one.
Some said if you look at the list, it's really long, but you get DOD died of disease, KIA, DOD. I think there were more disease casualties.
They usually are in the older wars, and so I think that if, from a time standpoint, as one little component of the overall ceremony, doing one conflict, and perhaps as the first one we have is a Civil War, that might be, but then I would say we can't do them all because we had over 200 that volunteered
Look
from.
what you got on that list right there.
Yeah,
So-
well, we had 40.
can I just ask one more question? And I'm just throwing it out there. So if we wanna concentrate on this theme this year, we could maybe use the older veterans next year. We could use that as a thing for the following year. So that we won't use everything we got in one thing, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say,
In that case, I understand exactly what you're saying. If Sheila could provide us with the name of those that were involved in a global conflict, if we could get a,
that would be, yeah.
that would be the series of names we'd read.
Yeah,
You know, because
because
that
that's
would
what we
honor
concentrate.
living veterans, it would honor families that are still in town, for sure, I like that. So that could be a perfect, but, gotta get that list,
I'm
not easy.
talking about 22 years of.
Yeah,
Do you
Yeah.
want just the veterans from Hubbardston that were in that conference?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so why don't we work, I'll see if I can get, we know how to get some help with that, don't we, Sue?
She's not here anymore.
Remember how
Well, we
many
can- we
different
can-
rosters we went to for the Vietnam, which was from 54 to 75, 21 years?
Well, we're just doing, yeah, so
We're just doing 20 years.
so how many
We're not doing
years
21.
would we go back? How
Well,
many years has
91
this
would
been
be the
going?
beginning of the, you know, our,
91?
you know, Desert Storm.
Yeah, if you wanna go back
Okay.
to that far.
You really
right?
do.
So then you're,
So
You really have to.
1991?
right, so
Yeah.
you're looking at
Who,
30,
Okay,
30 years of,
all right, so 30 years, all right.
And goodness gracious, you don't wanna forget names. because
Right.
if you forget
Right.
names, then-
So let's see what we can,
And if you don't have very many, then you could maybe add another conflict.
I think we'd have, you know,
think we
people
will.
that serve
Yeah,
National
this-
Guard
there's gonna
and
be quite a few.
6 months active,
Yeah.
you'd have
Stay
quite
in
a
this-
few.
So-
Over 30 years.
But that's a great idea to correlate it with theme,
Yeah.
and so make it, and I think that, once again, that's gonna do two things. Number one, people that attend are gonna say, oh, it's my neighbor. You know, I didn't even know he was in the service, or she was in the service.
Yep.
That's a good thing. Second thing is, those veterans are more likely to come.
right, so we
Right.
don't want only the veterans that have died, we want the living
Oh,
and the
absolutely,
dead?
that's, absolutely. We don't have,
Just the
I don't-
living or the living and the dead?
we would say, any veteran
Okay,
who served actively in the global war conflict from 91 to the present time,
And where do you
Should be
get that? Do you
acknowledged.
get that from the town clerk or?
one place.
we'll find it.
That's what, that was the crusade that we had for Vietnam. And the stumbling block was the committee voted that we had a list of 150, okay? And then the committee voted that on the questionnaire, we said, is it okay to publish our name? And like 75% of the veterans said no. So that precluded us. I wanted to put that on Facebook and said, here are the names we have. If your name's not on here, get in touch. Because we
Right.
want to make sure we include you because we're engraving your name in a stone. And based on the questionnaire, which had come beforehand, which 70% said they didn't want the name published. Because I was saying, well, it's gonna be published forever on the monument.
Yeah,
So, so as a result, we couldn't put it on Facebook. So as a result, I had 6 come up to me on Memorial Day and say, gee, I think I'm eligible, but I didn't really know about this. And subsequent, I've had 9 more, making a total of 15. 9 of which I have to still find out for sure that they're eligible. But we have room to add the names, but if we do it in this way, and we can publish it on Facebook, Hubbardston, Facebook, then we're gonna have people saying, I think I'm eligible, but we have to establish what the criteria is. And it would be the same as it was for Vietnam, and that would be, you could be National Guard as long as you served 1 day active and you got an honorable discharge, you are a veteran. So,
so is that a questionnaire that we have to do and then there's a mailing that has to
So
go
now-
out?
now-
I think if we,
But,
it's,
but
it
if,
became a big chore for us, and
but that was different, you were doing the monument with all the names on it. This is just gonna be
acknowledgement.
a reading. I don't think we have to do what you did. I think we have to get the names and find someone to read them.
Yeah, but it's not
You
gonna
think?
work well if you leave out half the names, but,
Oh, we're not gonna leave
you
them.
know. So if you can use a public venue such as Facebook or town, Facebook, then we can, you would certainly get people that would contact. And at that point, we could designate a person, get in touch with so-and-so committee, and so we can add your name to it. And then finding one of the student, you know, I think a high school student would be nice from Quabbin to read it, as opposed to elementary school. But
I think so.
we have time for that.
Yeah, we have
We have time.
And if there's 200 names, you probably want a couple minutes.
Do
A
what?
couple, a
Sure,
couple of
sure,
bids
yeah,
if
if
it's,
you have,
if it's,
yeah,
you know.
I wouldn't
Do you
begin to
think it's
speculate
as,
how
do you
many.
think it's gonna be as
Well-
big as Vietnam?
No, I don't think so.
No?
But I think that it will be a lot of names, and Sheila may have access to that information, so, you know, then there are gonna be some, just like our Vietnam vets, who didn't want their name mentioned, they didn't wanna be on the monument, we had 6.
See, like in Princeton, okay, this is why this
You're
is
from.
why I'm going
Mhm.
this way. In Princeton, they ring the bell, and they ring the bell, and they say the name, and they ring the bell, and they say the name. And nobody, I mean, my nephew's on there, my uncle's on there, you know, they're on, they just read them. Right down they never ask, can I say your name? They just read them, you know, so that's why I was saying I didn't realize that we don't have to get permission to read the name, or you think we have to get permission to say their name? Is that what you're saying?
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't.
Okay, all right.
But when we've sent out the questionnaire, we had people that wrote back and said, do not use my name. And we had 6, and then I asked my veterans to contact them. And of the 6, they had their reasons, and 2 of them ended up putting the name on, and the other 4 didn't, and I respect that, you know. They had feelings, so, and maybe because we said, how about your kids and grandchildren wanting to see your name on a memorial forever, you know? And like I say, 2 of the 6 changed their mind, but I had Tom going out and doing that, and, you know, Tom would be a good spokesperson for that, he contacted them, so, but I respected that, so, okay.
All right.
Next chairperson, what's up?
Anything?
Next meeting?
Next meeting, what are we gonna do? Somebody got a calendar right there?
And
Should we, I think we should have, do you think we should skip a month?
But then you
December
get
is
to
a
see-
bad time to have
December's
a
tough.
meeting.
Yeah.
People are very busy, we could have one in maybe November. We're
What
going
about
to
you,
have a
going away?
veterans breakfast,
Going
by
away?
the way.
Yeah.
I
You
will be
away?
going away,
January?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I-
but
If all
theoretically.
goes well, we would probably leave the end of January, maybe March.
So about January. Now,
But
'cause we
maybe
wanna give-
November?
you know, we wanna give Sheila enough time to
Right.
do what she has to do.
And we could have one in December, but that's after the holidays, we could do that. But I think November we should have one, how do you feel about that,
I don't
guys?
think that gives her enough time to do
I
what she
think you
needs to
should
do.
just
But I
skip
mean,
to
just-
January.
Just to,
Yeah,
Yeah,
skip to January.
first week in January.
okay, you think so?
Mhm.
What day? We wanna keep it on a Wednesday at 11? We gotta stay that way, is fine.
Well, if you get,
To check.
if you get, is our goal to get more people? Like, I was thinking, do we wanna put something in the senior newsletter,
Yes,
like,
yeah.
which I know is read by everyone? Do we wanna put in there that the Memorial Day Committee is looking,
We have a full complement now, but we
Okay.
certainly could use alternates. And I
Yes.
think what we need more is gonna be volunteers for that day,
Mhm.
and we were able to do that through the Lions Club, they were very
Okay.
helpful,
so we don't
And-
need to put anything in the
Yeah.
newsletter, okay,
cause we have a full complement at this
okay.
point.
Okay, so we're looking at January, when's our next meeting?
January.
What do you got, chief?
If we're gonna keep it on a Wednesday, 4th, 11th, 18th, 25th.
11. What do you think?
Yeah, I think 11.
11 at 11?
Yeah.
11 at 11.
You don't have your phone?
It's up in the truck.
You
Okay.
sure you don't think we're all set? We gotta get a lot done on that day, we gotta get everything organized.
Yep.
So I will have my list like this.
And,
That should give me enough time to hear back from the state.
Yeah.
police.
Yeah,
Right.
and it,
But if he hears back from there and they say,
If
no,
I hear back ahead of time and they say no or something, I'll let you know so that we can start looking at other.
really,
options.
because that's the
So I'll
hardest
I
thing.
can communicate that through email though.
And if
That's
we
fine.
had to,
Yeah.
we could have a special meeting, short notice.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree.
Needed. Yep.
alright. Okay,
Have you seen the plaques in Princeton, the town hall? The Civil War veterans, all
oh,
the
yeah,
names?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then they got, in the next room, you got pictures of the World War I veterans. And, have you ever seen that?
I
They got
probably have.
photographs of everybody that served in World War I.
Really, in Princeton, in the
Yeah.
town hall?
So one day I'm in there and that lawyer Myrick came in, he
Yeah.
didn't know it, but his grandfather was in one of the pictures. You know?
Yeah.
There are all these streets named after them in Princeton. You get Beaman, and you get Myrick, and, you know.
Yeah,
I like it when I go through a town and they say honoring our veterans, and they have the pictures of the guys.
And the guy, you know, the
Bolton,
George
yeah.
Washington painting of the slaves serving meals to him and his family, it's a famous painting. It's in the Francis Tavern down in New York, and they got a copy in Princeton. Well, the guy that painted it is from Princeton.
Oh, yeah.
He's buried on Wheeler Road.
Uh,
Yeah.
who painted that, Rich?
I think his name was Spencer, I think.
That's,
But, I mean, it's a very famous painting.
Are we gonna
okay,
vote
so
to
no,
adjourn the
no other business, we're all set? Can we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
And someone
Second.
second it?
Yeah, second.
I don't think anybody argue it.
Oh, I got a
No.
funny story. I went to get my license to carry renewed,
I
right?
don't know.
Probably not really have to go.
All right,